I came to United States in 2004, a couple years after I graduated from high school. So it was kind of challenging, time, but I guess it's the best time to, move on, to start a new life. Yeah. After getting here in 2004, I attended Sinclair Community College for a year and then transferred to Wright State. And I graduated from nursing program at Wright State in 2009. I worked Miami Valley since 2006 and, became a nurse at Miami Valley in 2009 and went on for graduate school to become a nurse practitioner at Wright State still, and I graduated in 2016. And I was still working at Miami Valley then. Uh, After I graduated as a nurse practitioner, that's when I went to Ohio State for a fellowship program, and that's when I ended up moving to Columbus. In Rwanda, growing up, especially when you're a kid, everything was perfect. Up until I was 10 years old. So when I was 10 years old, that's when I experienced the first war.
Okay.
And I had to flee from, my home to another place, and we're talking about working for a day to try to get away from the conflict zone. And then you are 12 years old, it happens again. And had to run to a different place. And that time we didn't even come back home, so we became like displaced. And then from there became a 94. That's when things get. There was this conflict in Rwanda, and then the unfortunate of the genocide happened in Rwanda then in 94. Mm-hmm. But as the war was moving as well, I fled to the Congo and lived there for a couple of years as a refugee. So I returned back to Rwanda in 1996, and then was able to, when you run away, you flee, the way the war was, I guess, happening, you just hear bomb shellings and all those, the wall, and then you just run regardless. You can't just say, hey, I'm going to wait for my family to get here. You just run for your life. At 12 years old, I had to run by myself, and eventually you meet your family and join again. So in the Congo as a refugee, I really don't call it a safety per se, mm-hmm. but it's that there was no war zone. Mm-hmm. So you're in a refugee camp and we're living in a tent. And you have, that small tents, and you have, we're a family of 8 in the same tent. So it was challenging. As far as safety, it's when we were kind of used to that. When there was a war zone, there's that bomb shellings and here and there, and you run, you get to a place when there is no bomb shellings, it can happen anytime again. But yet, since you don't hear anything, you consider that a safe haven almost, because nothing is happening. So in the Congo, we could hear, people were killed when they were going to get some food somewhere. That is a safety concern. But at least you knew that nobody was after you. Being a 14-year-old, all I was thinking about is surviving day by day. Am I getting, am I going to be able to eat once a day? That's a big deal. So if you ate once a day, then you're not going to die. And that's when you actually start learning about selling something to be able to make it the next day. Then a couple of years after that, our camp was invaded. So when the camp was invaded, then that's when the safety concern again happened, and then we fled in the jungle. So I was one of the lucky ones that lived in the jungle for only a couple months. Even up until today, there are still some people in that jungle. Yeah, but I was lucky to live there for a couple of years. Then after 2 years, we're like, well, we're going to die here because there were so many people that were dying in the Congo. So we'd rather go to die in Rwanda. So we returned, and actually we survived. Eventually, my whole family, one comes, another comes, then the families joined again and attended the high school. After I graduated high school, that's when I was looking for the opportunity to come to the US. So in general, the life in Rwanda was, you kind of get used to a life where you feel like, okay, I'm gonna go to high school, maybe get a job, and it's really hard to explain when it comes to the everyday life you live. It's a struggle, the first job, but when you meet new people that have already gotten jobs some places, and they look at their work ethics, they say, oh, well, he can't speak or she can't speak, but yet the job is well done. So those are the places you end up actually getting hired, because you follow the person who is in the same shoes, and then you go to that place. The interviewer actually end up not questioning your ability to work, because they've had experience of someone who came unable to say good morning, yet they can perform. So before, when I came in 2004, that was limited. There were very few people from Rwanda, so it was a little more challenging. So talking about the services, though, there was something that benefited me a big deal that I always talk about, is the WIA. It's a Workforce Initiative Act at a job center. And they provide trainings. So that's because when I came, I wanted to actually, I wanted to eventually become a medical doctor. This one person, I still remember his name. It was Greg Freeman. He told me, he said, why don't you look into the trainings as well? So then he asked me what I wanted to become. Eventually, I said I wanted to work as a healthcare provider. I said, just then do a nurse ed training. That's how I learned about the nurse ed training. And the WIA paid for my nurse ed training. And then I became a state tested nurse ed after like a couple months. That was like, I was on the top of the world then. Yeah. Skills to, to help out, visit and see what they can do. And then another big thing is, monetary donations. There is the money for operation itself, like a year operation, run, it's close to 20,000 for the two houses. Talking about all the utilities and things that needs to be fixed here and there to keep it going. So that's that's a big help. That alone, making it look a little more decent. I'm a board member with the House of the People, and actually, when I was living there, I kind of made a commitment that if I, make it through school, graduate, I will renovate the place. But I didn't know that when you go to school, you get loans and then you're a new starting a family. And I was like, well, I can't do it. But when I lived there was this volunteer. His name was Phil Blux. He was a pharmacist. So he retired and he was helping the House of the People with the renovation of the bathrooms, the kitchen. And then I was helping him because, it was a period where I had even nothing to do. So I was really available full time for him. And guess what? I learned so much that now I can go to the house and say, okay, I'm going to, do something about the room or do something about the bathroom. And I do very well in, using my hands. Coming here is a big challenge, but also an opportunity where you see yourself and you can see yourself, moving forward. The good thing about it is also that what you see is something that you can really achieve. So it's not something that happens overnight, but you can see yourself eventually getting there. And the other thing is the benefit of being able to help. The fact that, I can, help the House of the People and actually be able to help so many back home that, not only the aftermath of, the war, but also the poverty in general. So being able to feel like you're useful human beings is a big benefit, and I'm very thankful for that. When you help that one person, you know that you're actually helping the community, because that's the same person that will help another newly coming. So you help one person. I will give an example of myself. So I'm here, but then most of my family are here, and I have so many other people that were able to join me, and I had to help them, move forward. So the person that helped me in 2004 have done so much for others during these years. So thank you.